back in Atlanta, and we're joined by Greg Logan of Newsday. And Greg, thanks for joining us on CitrusTV.
It's a pleasure.
And first off, the Mike Rice practice footage, all the coaches were asked about it. They all had their unique reactions that were strangely similar. I guess, going to the practice footage, what was your initial reaction when you first saw it?
Well, it was way over the top, obviously, and clearly the type of thing that no administrator could tolerate. And to have that come out publicly and see how he was abusing and bullying those kids, that's completely intolerable. It's hard to believe that Pernetti would stop short of firing him right off the top. At the same time, you mentioned the reaction today was shockingly similar. You know how this is an aberration. It's the only place it was happening in the country. I don't buy that for a second. Some guys do lose it. They get over the top, and it should be a good lesson for a lot of coaches all around the country.
Mm-hmm. Is it a bad thing necessarily that this happened? Are coaches going to watch themselves and treat their players differently, or is this they may be more careful about who finds out how they act at practice?
Well, they'll definitely be checking to see who's loyal on their staff, and I mean obviously somebody set up the camera to take the practice video, or maybe it was just the video they took anyway of practice to see what they were doing. But I think that they'll learn something from this. You just can't act that way anymore today. Jim Boeheim said it. All coaches put their hands on players to position them or move them around, touch them on their shoulder. But as Jim said, you don't shove players, you don't throw balls at them, you don't hit them, things like that. And I think you could say that if Mike Rice had 902 wins and 3 national championships, probably nothing would have happened. But stuff like that has happened over the years, but I think there'll be a lot less of it now.
And on to Louisville. The Kevin Ware injury was pretty gruesome, and some people have seen the replays. Have you seen the injury itself?
I've just seen the aftermath of the injury. I haven't gone to YouTube to look for the. I didn't need to see the bone coming through the skin because it sounds gruesome enough as it is. But very shocking thing. It's amazing that in that moment of excruciating pain and panic, that the kid would be shouting out to his teammates, "Just win the game, just win the game," and definitely something that I'm sure they're going to latch on to, and that will motivate them, to play as hard as they can in this Final Four. And by the way, they come in with the best team.
Yeah. It is something like that. Does it motivate in a way that really you can't be motivated any other way? It's the Final Four. It's hard to not be motivated for these guys, but this is special.
It is special because, he's got a presence around them. He's here, and they know how much, obviously, he wanted to play and would love to be out on that court with him. And, they might feel that there's unfinished business left over from last year, and they've really been on a phenomenal run, winning 17 out of 18 games with the only loss in 5 overtimes. And I think Rick Pitino made a good point today when he said, it's going to be tougher now without Kevin Ware because of the energy factor, because he was clearly a guy who could come in and give you great minutes when you had to get rest to Russ Smith and Peyton Siva. So now there's the walk-on Henderson who's got to come out and provide that for them, and that's going to be a big spot for him on a huge stage.
And Syracuse and Louisville are each 1 game away from a Big East rematch in the national championship. It would be a heck of the way to close out the Big East as we know it. What do you think it means for the way that conference will be remembered for basketball with the kind of teams that it's had over the past decade or so?
Well, I think that conference will always be remembered for the impact that it had on college basketball and how it raised not only those schools to prominence, but I think it raised the whole sport of college basketball to prominence with the deals that they had with ESPN, the Big Monday, and just having so many teams constantly in the NCAA tournament. And so while I think it would be appropriate if those two schools went out on the same stage against each other. It would be good for the Big East, but it would also be kind of bittersweet because both of them, 1 year after the other, are headed to the ACC. And so, you know, it's a fond farewell to a once great institution, but it's also a sign of the times.
Greg, thank you very much for your time. Greg Logan of Newsday joining us at Citrus TV here in Atlanta.